Temple into Thought Knot. Interesting. So we have 6 mana. If we activate Reclaimer... Oh, another Amulet. Yeah, we can definitely tighten them here. Hello, and welcome, everybody. We are back here for match 4 with the Reclaimer Amulet list that you see on screen. And if you're not familiar with it by this point, then check out match 1, where I cover this list in detail. We are currently 3-0, so undefeated. Maybe going towards this 5-0. I don't want to jinx it by saying that out loud, but I've already done it, so it's too late. And, yeah, I'm just hoping that we can rack up another win. I've been really enjoying playing some Elvish Reclaimers here, so I'll have some final thoughts for you guys about the list and its strengths and weaknesses at the end of this league. I've played more than just the matches you see on screen here as well, because I've been playing it a bit in my free time. I played it once at a in-person FNM and things along those lines, so I feel like I have some experience to speak to my thoughts on the deck list overall. But of course, I'm saving that for the end of match 5, as we have to get all of these matches under our belt before we can discuss the list. So, without further ado, let's jump straight into match 4 here. I will see you guys in the games. Alrighty, let's hop in here for the match. See if we're playing against something aggressive or something controlling and slow. We'll see. And we will be on the play, which is fantastic for us. We got a turn 1 Reclaimer or Amulet. We got bounce lands galore. We got Tolaria West to transmute, but we already have a Summoners Pact anyway, so obviously this hand's going to be a keep. The thing that we need to think about is whether we're playing Amulet on 1 or Reclaimer. If we play Reclaimer, and then next turn play Amulet, play Growth Chamber, and float the mana in response to the bounce ability, sack the forest to go get Flagstones, then we can bounce the Flagstones to our hand with Growth Chamber and have Flagstones plus Reclaimer the turn after. And if our opponent just kills our Reclaimer, then we can still just play Amulet and Tolaria West and then pass back. I suppose the downside to playing Reclaimer first is if we top deck exactly a 3-drop, but I think it's going to be right to lead on Reclaimer here. Otherwise, I think it's more likely that we top deck something irrelevant and want to be able to play out Amulet and a bounce land and get some land drop progress and set up a Flagstones. So that will be the plan. Our opponent has not answered the Reclaimer just yet. We have a second Amulet, which is quite interesting. We could play Tolaria West and second Amulet and just be satisfied. If we went and searched for the Flagstones, the next turn we could play second Amulet, play Growth Chamber. That would be up to 4 mana, activate Reclaimer, 6 mana after getting a bounce land. So I guess it's pretty negligible. I guess there's no reason not to just get in for a point of damage here. I don't think our opponent's going to have anything to deal with our amulets. I guess we need to consider what happens if our opponent has second Eldrazi Temple and Thought Knots here for our Summoners Pact. Let's see, if they do that, then this upcoming turn, instead, we'll be able to play the Amulet, play Flagstones, activate Reclaimer, get 2 lands, hopefully floating double blue, I guess off of like a breeding pool or something if we search for a breeding pool with the Reclaimer, and still netting a mana, and we'd have 3 in play to be able to play Growth Chamber into Titan after transmuting. So I think playing the Growth Chamber and then cycling this forest is going to be the best play. We can still play the Amulet after this, right? We play the Growth Chamber, float, get Flagstones, it'll be untapped, we'll tap it for a white, then bounce it to our hand, and then use that to play the Amulet. So I guess we can do all of it here. I think setting up a Flagstones is going to be a wise choice, so we can... well, actually, there's probably no reason to always yield here. We'll activate Reclaimer, get our Flagstones, if I can manage to click on it. We'll untap it and float a white, so we can play this second Amulet. And then we'll have Flagstones plus Reclaimer for this upcoming turn, and things will be pretty good. There we go. Seems like the best line. For some reason, I was neglecting the fact that we could tap Flagstones itself for a mana and still play our second Amulet, so I think it definitely makes sense to take the line we just took. And they do have the Temple into Thought Knot. Interesting. So we have 6 mana. If we activate Reclaimer... Oh, another Amulet. Okay, so we play Amulet, leave a blue floating, I guess. Play Growth Chamber up to 7, activate, get a bounce land, transmute Talari West. Let's see, 7, that would be +6 up to 13. Yeah, we can definitely tighten them here. So it starts by playing an Amulet. 5 to make sure there's no yield set. Let's see, if we play the Flagstones and search, we'll get 3 mana from the Flagstones getting a Temple Garden, and then we'll be able to search for Growth Chamber, and I guess that still lets us do what we want without having to sacrifice a Growth Chamber. Because we have 1 floating. Let's see, 3 from the Temple Garden plus a Simic Growth Chamber lets us transmute Talari West and cast Titan. Yeah, I think we're good. We'll do the Flagstones then. Sack here. We can yield to these. Yep. So we'll get a Temple Garden, that'll be 3 mana. No, not Pain the Life. I don't think it would change anything anyways, because Reclaimer forces the land to enter tapped, so still. So we'll float our 3 mana here. And we'll get our Growth Chamber, of course. I thought I clicked it. There it goes. For some reason, it's just being a little laggy. That's fine, though. We'll make it do. Alright, so we'll float here. We'll float again. Float again. And we gotta make sure we tap this Temple Garden before we have to pick it up. We do want to leave as much mana in play as possible. Although I think our opponent's just dead this turn regardless, so let's just leave the, We only have 1 more Growth Chamber in deck to search for, which is something definitely to note. So we can only get 1 more Titan into play. That should be fine, though. So here's the first Titan into play. We get the... Oh, we only have 1 more Talari West anyways. So Talari West and the last remaining Simic. And our opponent scoops it up. Okay. Well, that was a pretty crazy hand. The third Amulet was an amazing top deck, obviously. So against Eldrazi Tron, we want Trackers as an intermediary threat. We want Forces and Sage to deal with Karn and his crew of motley artifacts that are going to be annoying against us. Explorers are, like, alright. They help us dig out from underneath our opponent's Thought-Knot Seers, but admittedly, that's going to be happening on, like, turn 3 at the earliest, usually, unless our opponent has another double Temple draw. I don't know, maybe Explorer's not that great. I guess they could have Dismember for our turn 1 Reclaimer, in which case we need something to do on turn 2, which is possible. I don't know. I think 2 Explorers is fine. I don't think I would want the third. Dismember would hit a Thought-Knot Seer. Actually, we definitely want Paths, for sure. Dismember hits Thought-Knot Seer and Smasher, which is probably relevant enough. Do we want 3 of that effect? Maybe. I think a Dismember could be useful. Actually, I only want 2. Let's just have the 2 paths, so that we are more likely to top deck threats when we need them. Grazer can go. Bog can go. Ghost Horde is obviously fantastic. Reclaimer is good here. We can trim a Pact, as our opponent is likely to have Chalice of the Void. Do we want access to an Engineered Explosives here for Chalice on 0? Maybe not. Eladamri's Call seems very good. In fact, actually, I think it's better to trim the second Pact and have 2 calls to rely on for additional threats. We've got to cut 4 cards. I have no clue what they should be, to be completely honest. Like, 2 Forces is kind of bad if our opponent is on a creature draw, but they're very good against Karn, and I think we do want Force for that. I guess we don't need these Explorers. We can trim the Cavern, I think. And I guess if our opponent has their Chalice on 0, we're just going to try to force it or Rex Sage it and not worry about transmuting for explosives. That seems fine to me. 1 more. I could see maybe Radiant Fountain, but that seems kind of loose. A Temple Garden wouldn't be the worst cut either, but I'm not convinced on that. Maybe it's just the Azusa. I like having Azusa, though, especially with Tracker. I don't know, maybe it's just Reclaimer, because it dies to Dismember. We'll trim 1 Reclaimer. It doesn't feel right, but I just don't know what else to trim, and we only have 12 seconds left on the clock. Sorry, I had to step out for a second. So, see a hand with a turn 1 Amulet. We have the mana to cast a Dryad or a Azusa. We have Force as backup if we top deck a Summoner's Pact or need to transmute for it. It's a little slow, but I'm going to give it a shot. I guess we're really just missing a bounce land or a Reclaimer at this point. It's definitely the kind of hand that would have liked a Reclaimer for sure. Especially with this Flagstones occurring naturally in our hand here. Ooh, Call's not bad at all. That actually is a Reclaimer. We can play Garen Brigand to call this upcoming turn and then choose what we want to play on turn 3. So that's kind of nice. I only say kind of because it is a little slow. I guess if we draw a land, we could play Dryad into Reclaimer, and that would be pretty good. Our opponent has Talisman of Resilience, the Golgari one. That's a strange one. I would have expected maybe Mind Stone, but not Talisman. Yeah, I mean, so we're just doing the Eladamri's Call thing, and that's all she wrote. I guess we could force pitching a Azusa, hitting the Talisman, and another thing if they play out an artifact that we care about here. I could definitely see that. Pithing Needle. Yeah, let's just let this resolve and see what they name. We do have Rexage to take care of one of these things if we would rather not force the Talisman. It could be better to have Force as an out to hit Ensnaring Bridge if they do find a Karn at some point in time. Depending on what they name with the Needle, we may not need a... Okay, they named Stronghold. Chalice for 0, okay. So far, I'm not super bothered by this. So, I guess we just call for a Reclaimer. And hope that we top deck the land that we're looking for. That's a Reclaimer, okay. Call. Interesting. I mean, obviously we're playing out the land. We're just slamming a 3-drop here. Playing Reclaimer doesn't do much. We could also just Rexage to blow up the Chalice, although I don't think we need to blow up Chalice since we have Call to set up a Titan eventually. I think we just want to play the Dryad here. It would be nice if our Reclaimer survived, but if we just get dismembered and wasted 2 mana... I guess actually, we can... No, wait. We can't play Call and Reclaimer, so yeah. We're just playing Dryad here, I think. If we get dismembered, that'll be unfortunate, but there's not much we can do about that, so... It could be reasonable to force to hit the Needle and the Talisman here, but... try to stop them from playing this 4-drop. Yeah, that one's kind of annoying. I think we're supposed to just go ahead and force hitting these two. I don't know, like, the Pithing Needle on Slayer Stronghold isn't that annoying. We could just let this resolve. Then they're probably supposed to take Call in case we are able to get to Titan. They could take the Force, but we still have Sage as backup. And we don't even need necessarily to kill the Chalice, so I'm just going to let this go. See what they take. Holding the Force for a potential Ensnaring Bridge or Liquid Metal Coating type thing down the line could be better. This Talisman is definitely annoying. It's let our opponent cast this 4-drop, but especially from this turn on, if they just top deck another land, they can still play other Thought-Knots and Karns and stuff. So at this point, hitting the Talisman probably doesn't make any sense. It might be better for us that we never forced to kill the Talisman in the first place, to be honest. At least our Dryad is surviving, so if we top deck a bounce land, we could call for a Titan and activate Garen Brigand and play it, especially since Dryad is fixing our mana as well. So bounce land, activate Garen Brig, use these two to call for Titan, cast Titan. We'd be good to go there. I don't think there's anything that we could do to actually attack, though, with the Needle still in play. And we wouldn't be getting Valakut triggers immediately, because we'd only have 5 lands with the Titan entering. It still might be right to get something like Valakut and a bounce land and then be able to play out our Sage afterwards, or our Azusa, or whatever. Yeah, actually, Azusa, bounce land, Reclaimer would be good. I guess that plays really bad into All Is Dust, which our opponent is currently quite a few mana shy of casting, but still. They take the... What was it? The Reclaimer? Yeah, they took the Reclaimer. Okay, well, let's top deck a bounce land here. Are we supposed to force to hit this Needle just in case we do top deck the bounce land so we can attack? feels a little loose. It's going to be very good if we top deck what we need, but we also have to lose our Azusa to do that. Now, I think it's fine. We don't need to attack with our Titan this upcoming turn if we can cast it. Bounce land? Okay, so there's the bounce land. So I guess force would have been good. There's no way for us to have known that ahead of time, though. So let's go ahead and do the Titan thing. Float. Pick this up. And of course, the Dryad is fixing for our green mana for our call here, so we don't need to worry about that. We'll activate here. Do we want to keep bounce land in hand? I feel like we're going to be searching for a bounce land and Valcut off of our Titan ETB, so I think it's fine to just go ahead and... Or our opponent just concedes the game. Well, I guess that's good enough. Our opponent saw enough. Maybe we were being just slow enough to annoy them to death over there, so... I mean, I can't complain, though. We're 4-0 for that. Bit of an early concession, but maybe they knew what was coming. They obviously knew that we had the call in hand, and we're just hoping that we wouldn't top deck the bounce land. But, you know, that's magic for you sometimes, and I'm glad to have been able to top deck that bounce land. It doesn't always happen, so... Yeah, we're currently 4-0. I have been really enjoying this list, I have to say, just in the past couple times I've played it online and in paper, so... Yeah, I definitely have a lot to say about the deck, but I'm going to reserve those thoughts for the end of this last match here, where hopefully we can clear this 5-0, finally get the first 5-0 of the season. For some reason, I'm just 5-0 cursed. I always seem to get a 4-1 or worse sometimes. Hey, you know what? I'm just a human. I'm not perfect. You know, and getting a 3-2 is just fine with me, so. But anyways, it would be nice to get a 5-0 and maybe get some sideboard explore tech onto MTG Goldfish. But you know what? We're just going to leave this here and let that be for match 5. So thank you guys for joining me for this match, and I apologize if it was a little choppy. Yeah, I have nothing else to say. This is Red Face Menace, signing off.